Foundations of strength and conditioning. Today we're going to take a peek at what we call training volume. Training volume is essentially, just as it sounds, the volume of work that you're getting in. So while you're training, you have these things that you're going to track that's going to help you get a better idea of what type of progress you're making from a day-to-day, even a week, monthly basis. So let's kind of dissect this a little bit. When we look at training volume, a couple of very basic principles within there: sets, reps, and essentially the load that you're using. Reps, very common one, but I have it listed second here, is just literally going to be the amount of repetitions that you complete of said exercise. So the sets then is how many groupings of those repetitions that you're getting done. So the example that I provided down here underneath load is 3 by 5 at 315 pounds, right? You have 3 sets by 5 repetitions at 315 pounds. Another way to look at this too, though, is ultimately, do some of the math here, right? 3 by 5, you're ultimately getting in 15 reps at 350 pounds. If you wanted to also look at the total tonnage that you're doing, you could multiply the 15 reps times the weight that you're doing. So again, really kind of depends how far you want to get into it. Gonna keep this just pretty basic here, but can obviously go down some more rabbit holes if need be. But just think of it that way, right? A very simple way to track your training and the training volume that you're doing, sets, reps, and load, and looking at that from training session to training session. That's going to be huge for tracking your progress and also getting an idea of like when you need to make adjustments, and hopefully you're following some type of program that gives you some guidance on that as well too. Two other things that we can look at as well too. This is a little bit more when it comes to like workload as well too. Just kind of gets a little bit deeper. But again, how much time are you spending throughout your training session? This, I would probably recommend it more so for the training session rather than a specific movement. But again, it really depends on what you're going for. But you can also pair up to the frequency per week though too, right? So let's say if you're lifting twice per week and you're getting a total tonnage, let's say between your primaries of, let's just say like, yeah, I don't know, let's say like 5,000 pounds. Well, then if you bump up your training frequency and you're like, all right, I'm going to go from 2 days a week to 3 days a week, well, then you're going from, let's say, 5,000 to 7,500 or even 10,000, whatever your training may have for you. That's something very important that we'd want to consider, because that's a whole lot more stress going on to the body, or vice versa. If you're dropping down, that's a whole lot of stress you're taking away from the body. So depending on what you're training for, that could be good or bad. So kind of wrapping this up, why do we care about the training volume? Well, hopefully I've been able to really hammer that home on why it's important. But again, it's what drives our progress. It's what essentially allows us to be able to navigate our training and make the decisions that we need to make to help us get to our goals. So overall, very important thing to consider. This is just the start of Foundations of Strength and Conditioning. I hope this was helpful, and more to come.